Hey, it's Jonathan Matoshnik. The question is, have guys you've worked with in the past trying to start their business failed? The answer is yes. There have been fellas that have failed trying to start out in their business, but there's really always a similar common denominator, and it's almost always the fact that they really have not gone out and sold enough work. That's really the primary reason someone's going to fail. The second reason someone might fail is because they have too much debt. So they went out and they bought too much equipment, they bought a building, they did something where they incurred quite a bit of debt. Maybe in their own personal life they already had enough too much debt, and so they were unable to make enough money fast enough. They couldn't make the payments on that debt that they had, be it their equipment payments, their truck payments, their office or building payment, whatever those payments are. They just didn't have enough income fast enough to be able to make all those payments. Things got so tight, they didn't have enough breathing room, that they didn't have time to build their business up, and they had to go back and get a job just so they could keep up with the debt they already had. So the solution to that is to try to start the business as, be as careful as you can about those bills that you have when you're starting. Get your living expenses as low as you can for a period of time, just so that you give yourself some breathing room to really have an opportunity and a chance to get out there and make some, to go out and find the business and make some money. It takes a little while. You start out and you think you know exactly what to do, and then you get in there and you start talking to people and selling, and then you realize, I didn't exactly expect this or that to happen. You encounter things you hadn't anticipated, and you learn a few lessons along the way. And as you learn those lessons, you start to pick up speed, because now you know what to say, you know how to sell better, you know what the objections are going to be, you know how to do things quicker. Just across the board, you learn some lessons, and then you get faster. You get faster about everything you're doing, and it just slowly starts to all come together, and then the growth rate of your business picks up. So in the beginning, it starts out a little slow, and you don't want to be discouraged by that. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work or that you're going to fail. That's normal. It generally starts out slow. You'll hear about these companies where this guy goes out and, like, tomorrow he has $1 million business, or in 3 years he built a $20 million company. But if you really dig into those stories, several things happen that probably aren't going to happen to you. One, those guys usually had money. So right off the bat, they started their business with a big amount of money to invest, to go buy equipment, to hire people, to build a team around them. That you had all these people working to build the business, and it's not just them. Often what you'll usually hear, a lot of those guys that built the really big success fast had built a previous success and sold it, or they built a previous company and it failed, and they knew exactly what to do the second time around. They already had the contacts, they knew exactly what to do, they knew exactly what mistakes not to make. So when you hear these giant success stories about the guy that made it overnight, doesn't always happen that way. It just doesn't always work out quite like that. So don't beat yourself up if it starts out a little slow for you. That's how it is for almost everybody that goes into business for themselves. So keep your debt low, keep your living expenses as low as you can. You'll give yourself more chance of an increased chance of success. And so that's one reason I see guys fail, and that's a big one. That causes a lot of problems. And then the next one is what I said in the very beginning, is the second reason that most guys go out of business is they don't get enough work. Why do they not get enough work? Well, what happens is a lot of people go into business and they think it's just going to magically happen. They're going to jump on one of these cool internet fads. They're going to get on Facebook, or they're going to send out Twitter messages, or they're going to do some Google AdWords advertising, or they're going to throw up a website, or they're going to write this really cool, pretty door hanger, and they're going to put it on some doors in their neighborhood, and boom, their business is going to blow up, and everybody's going to think they're the company. Everybody's going to want to work with them, as though all these consumers in the marketplace have just been sitting around dreaming of the day some great person would come solve their problem. And that's not at all how it works. Nobody's looking for you. Nobody cares about you. And so many guys go into business thinking, hey, if I just throw up a website, people are just going to come do business with me because I'm a great guy. And it doesn't work that way. You really can't take the attitude of sitting back hoping it comes to you. Now, down the road, you might build a success to the point where your clients are referring you and things are happening. You've got a reputation. They're seeing your trucks. And people do start to come to you. And you do start to get a lot of business without a big marketing budget. But day one, You got to go out and tell the world about yourself and why you're different. You got to prove it to them. You've got to do some heavy lifting and do some work. You've got to get out there and sell yourself. Maybe knock on doors, get out door hangers, and not just a little bit, tons of door hangers. You got to do some mailers. You got to get out a website. It's got to get listed on the internet. It's got to get indexed in the search engine so you move to a top ranking on the first page of Google or Bing or Yahoo. You've got to do some Google AdWords advertising. You've got to do some networking with people in your marketplace, with other businesses, with other homeowners, whoever that is that might buy your service. You've got to get out there and get dirty and do some hard stuff and do some selling, and you've got to really go out and find the business for yourself. It's not going to come to you. So if you'll go out, get aggressive, and go get the business, you'll be fine. Because everybody fails because they don't get enough business and they just think it was going to magically come to them. It doesn't work that way. And then they get discouraged way too early and they give up. And they throw in the towel and they walk away. So if you don't make that mistake, you don't go into business with too much debt, you don't go crazy and go buy the fancy new truck and all the fancy new equipment, and you don't go just assume that because you put up a website, everybody's going to come clamoring to you, or because you printed a fancy door hanger, everybody's going to buy from you. If you don't make those misjudgments and you get aggressive and go out there, you'll be good. You'll make it in business. So the guys that fail almost always make those two mistakes. Thanks.